Hello friends and welcome to my channel for another action figure vehicle video. I'm really excited about this one. Today we're going to be building the MODOKING 1/12 scale tumbler. This is a model kit. I'm really excited about it. It's my favorite Batmobile, the Tumbler, and I've been waiting for this for a long time. Pre-order for this was maybe like a year ago almost. I got it probably 2 months ago, but I've been so buried in work I haven't had a chance to sit down and put it together. So today's finally the day. It's going to be replacing my custom kit bash / scratch build tumbler here. I'm really proud of this one. You know, the videos on the channel, I think it's like a 3 or 4 part video that I made a couple years ago. It was really challenging. I made it out of like an old Gotham City playset inside tumbler shaped toy. It's a little bit big, but it scales really well with this 7-inch NECA Batman Begins figure. With this one, I'm going to be pairing it with the Mafex Batman Begins figure. And that's something I'm probably going to do another video on because I'm determined to make kind of my ultimate 1/12 scale Batman Begins figure. There weren't that many options for it out there, so I'm going to take a few of them and put them together, see what I can come up with. But first, he's going to need a tumbler to go with. So we're going to get this on the workbench, take a look at everything that it comes with, and then get it put together. Hey friends, just want to jump in with a quick disclaimer / heads up. I was using a new app to boost what my camera can do and you know, get more use out of its capabilities, and something with the settings was messed up or something, and some of it is like jittery as I'm panning around looking at stuff, you know, showing shots of the figures in the vehicle and whatnot. So just a heads up, it might be a little jumpy in spots. I'm not going to be using that app moving forward, but you know, as part of my like trying to make my videos better and investing in a little bit more equipment and that kind of stuff, that was something I decided to do to try to make the videos look better, and it kind of came back and bit me in the ass. So, you know, moving forward won't be an issue, but just wanted to drop that in real quick before we get going. All right, so the slip cover's off. We got this piece on the inside, and then we've got all the parts. Now, I'm going to avoid crinkling all this stuff on camera because it's going to be really annoying sound-wise, but here are the instructions. So they give you a look at like the finished stuff. And the cool thing about this one is it actually comes with the Batpod, and you can disassemble it and stick it up inside underneath on the front. So it's reminiscent of how the setup was in The Dark Knight, where it's like the escape pod when the thing self-destructs, when the tumbler self-destructs. I think that's so cool. Off the top, one of the things I want to fix, I don't know if you can see it in the pictures here, but there should be some, you know, aluminum steel colored spokes on these wheels here, and then a couple of these little actuators, these little air shocks up top here on the fins, need to be the same kind of bronze gold color as some of these little struts. So we're gonna need to fix that, but aside from that, yeah, it's a very complicated model kit, and I'm pretty sure that it all snaps together. I'm hoping so. I don't really want to be just like gluing stuff constantly, but I do have glue ready by the wayside if I need it. Yeah, so this is going to be a lot of work. I may skip the Batpod, honestly. I don't know. I should probably do the whole thing, but it's going to be... I just want a tumbler. We'll see. Now, I'm sure some of you are thinking, but Ibrahim, why not the McFarlane tumbler? You've already, you know, made a thing out of customizing 2 McFarlane Batmobiles. I went with the MODOKING because it's much more screen accurate. Also, the McFarlane one was super hard to get. I mean, if you've ever ordered one of those things, you know how it can be. Like, you got to be there. They sell out super quick on Amazon and sometimes on the McFarlane website. This nose piece is too thin on the McFarlane one. It's very narrow. Some of the other details aren't quite right. The front wheels are inaccurate. There's just a lot of stuff that I would have to fix on that one. And after having put together that other one that you saw in the intro, I want to build it and be done with it. I don't want to have to like spend a bunch of money and a bunch of time to correct what's wrong with it. This one is a time investment, but it's putting together a thing that is like already ready to go. So that for me was worth it. And this has electronics in it that are like magnetically controlled to turn on the lights and stuff. I don't have to wire it up myself. So this is how all the parts come individually packaged like this. So I'm just gonna start following the instructions, and I'm gonna do all this off camera because I don't think that's gonna be very interesting to watch. So I'll check back in when it is done, unless something funny happens along the way. So for the first bit of detailing, we're gonna paint these wheels. The way these are supposed to look is these spokes are black. The nuts on like the hub there are supposed to be silver metallic. And then this ring that the spokes attach to is supposed to be silver. I'm not sure if it's the outer ring or the inner one. I'll have to look that up. But essentially, I'm going to have to mask these off with tape. And then I'm going to hit it with some aluminum colored spray paint. All right, I got the first wheel masked off, and that took absolutely forever. I think I've been at this for about 45 minutes. It's very intricate because you got to get in between the openings in here. I thought about, okay, what if I just sprayed the whole thing silver and then painted the black parts back in? I thought about doing that, but I like the smooth finish of the plastic. And to me, that's going to look more accurate than if I were to glob paint over it. I mean, I do my best to do a nice clean paint job, and black is a good color for that because you don't see like streaks as much and things like that. But I thought it would work better, and I can touch it up with black if I need to, if I overspray anywhere. But yeah, I really wanted to just get this masked off for the aluminum paint. So gonna do the other one. Thankfully there are only two. All right, quick handheld shot here to show the progress on the little air struts. So these were completely black before, and I have mixed a bronze color as close as I could get it to what actually comes on the bronze pieces of this, and I got pretty close, so I'm pretty happy with it. It might dry a little bit lighter, but we'll see. And then I've used a chrome pen, a Molotow chrome pen, to make the silver parts. So I've gone through in all of the areas that had this stuff and made these modifications, and hopefully that's it now, and I can just get to building this thing. All right, I wanted to check in with a little bit of progress on this just to show you like kind of what's involved in putting this together. But there's a big part of me, in fact, as I'm doing this, I took this piece out. I got to do this one next, right? It's the same one for the other side. And I just can't help but think, like, why do I have to do this? Like, why couldn't they just make it complete already? And I'm assuming it's probably like a rights issue, like a licensing thing. Like McFarlane probably has the license to do these as completed vehicles. So this company, MODOKING, is like, okay, well, we can do it as a model kit. But it goes together pretty nicely. You can see that there's like these pegs and holes, so it's keyed so that pieces slot in, and it's all fitting together pretty well. So I'm excited to keep going. All right, here it is all wrapped up, and this thing took me a long time. I gotta say, it took me the better part of like 3 days to build. And I don't think it's that long of a build, but I did a lot of the paint stuff to it. I took my time. I did it in between other stuff, but yeah. And you can see I added some grayish brown paint. I dry brushed it onto the tire treads on the front and back because I didn't want it to look too pristine. I wanted it to look like it's been driving around. I love that kind of lived-in look on stuff, as you know. I will change up the camera angle in a minute here because I realized having Batman so close in the foreground made him look huge and made the tumbler look tiny, but they do actually scale together pretty well. This is a true 1/12 scale, so it's definitely like too small for Mezco figures, I would say. Those tend to be closer to 1/10, and I'll show you some different size comparisons between different vehicles and different figures in this in a minute. But yeah, all in all, I'm super happy with this combination. This is the Mafex Batman Begins figure, and I think they just look so good together. So next I'm going to switch it up and show you what it looks like with Batman behind it. So here it is with Batman in the background of it, and you can see how they scale together. I think it just looks really, really good. And I really love this figure. I'm lucky that I missed the boat the first time around because I just wasn't collecting this kind of stuff when this one came out. And then eventually I found one used, and this one's not perfect. It's got some, somebody tried to glue like the cape to the cowl, so I had to undo that and mess with that. And ideally I'm going to find a different cape solution for it. But for now, I'm just super stoked to have these on the shelf together. Here's another angle with some darker lighting, and I'm so just floored on how this looks. I love this combination so much. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is my favorite Batmobile, and having such an intricately detailed one that looks so accurate to how it looked on screen compared to the one I made that was like a weird kit bash. This is just exactly what I wanted. So for the lights, there's this half circle piece that's part of the tumbler design, and they've magnetized it, and you just touch it to where you put the lights in and it turns them on. And I've seen these magnetically, initiated lights before, but I've never had one, and it's very cool. I'm gonna try to look for these more in my projects. Now for the back here, to turn on the afterburner, you just press it in like a button and it turns on. And there's a fire, like a clear, softish plastic fire piece that you can insert into the back. You just stick it right in there and it holds it in place really well. And it gives you the, afterburner effect. I'm not ever going to display it with this thing, but it's pretty cool to have. I imagine if you want to use this for photography and stuff, it'll look pretty awesome. Taking a look at it in some lower light, you can see the lights are bright, but they're not so bright that, you don't want to like look at the thing when it's turned on, which is nice. Taking a look at some interior functionality, there is this throttle that moves forward and backward, as well as this little computer screen. That was something, as I was putting it together, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to paint this. So all the silver stuff that you see there and the little yellow buttons in the center console are all stuff that I painted. These two pieces don't move independently all that well, but they do articulate, which is nice. Taking a look at how the canopy opens, it's a little tricky on this thing, I have to say. So the front piece slides up, but it's really a pain to get it to like slide back. I mean, you can see me messing with it. The other two pieces move really well, and I'll show it from a different angle here, but then the whole thing just lifts up. And as you can see, Batman is in there. The steering column slides forward and backward, which it helps in getting the figure in there. And then closing it is tough because you have to like thread that front window piece underneath some of the pieces that come up off the sides and like fold over onto the front. But here we are again from the side, and I'll show you kind of how it works. So you slide that piece back up, like it retracts up in there, but mine is really stiff. I don't know if they're all like that. And then the whole thing lifts up. You can see I added a sandpaper step pad to the side near those two gold circles. There's like a cutout for it, but I added it myself. And then there I made little screens out of just some light gel screens that I have. The same thing I used to tint the Forever Batmobile blue when it looked too green. But yeah, these I just cut out. I based it on a couple of the tumblers I've seen the interior of. Steering wheel does rotate, which is nice. And then the little hand, like joystick things also move independently. So it does steer the way that the tumbler does in the film. And then you can see that kind of gray-blue dash above the green circle there. I painted that. It was all black. The whole interior was black. I wanted it to stand out a little bit and have some different details. But I didn't go all out. The chairs I left, I didn't want them to look all like chalky and paint streaky. This is one of the coolest parts of this tumbler, where the Batpod goes underneath on the front. So I built the whole thing first. I left the Batpod till the end because I was like, I have a Batpod. I have the Mafex one. It's perfect. I don't need this. But I wanted to see how, I was going to fit it all in there. Then I realized like, oh, you actually do have to build it so that you can do that. So I kind of reverse engineered the building of it so that I could stick it all underneath here. But you can see some of the individual pieces. Those are the like hand covers. That center piece and under the nose is like the sort of center body. You got the guns right there. There's another sort of body piece to it there. So they all slot in pretty perfectly, and then this little thing clasps shut. And to me, this is the most impressive piece of the engineering of this thing. The whole thing is amazing, but the fact that they were able to figure out how to do all this is pretty incredible. Taking a look at the before here, this is the tumbler that I built. You can again see the video on the channel. I still am pretty proud of it, but it's got its issues. Like I could never get the windows to stay in on the front. So you can see they've kind of fallen out. There's just nothing to like tape them to or glue them to. So, I kind of had to do my best. At one point I resorted to duct tape and it still just didn't hold. But it looked great on the shelf. Now here's the new one. And it's just, I mean, a night and day difference as far as accuracy. Now, you note the size difference of the Tumbler and its relation to Batman. The Tumbler is always smaller than I think it is, right? But really, it's much more compact. So this is actually closer to the true scaling. And again, you know, the camera angle, the lens, and Batman being in the foreground makes it look maybe a little missized. But I'll show you a picture of what it looks like with, you know, in real life. Here's a clip of it from when it was on Jay Leno's garage, and you can see like the height of Batman in relation to the height of the Tumbler, and the height of Jay Leno to the height of the Tumbler is about the same. So this is a pretty accurate scaling, and I just need to get used to the idea that like the Tumbler isn't as big as that one that I had. Here's another shot of Batman inside the Tumbler, standing up this time, and you can see the scale when he's in it. I think looks really, really good. You know, this thing isn't super accurate on the interior. There's a bunch of different versions of the Tumbler. Like there were hero versions that you saw on screen. There was one that they drove. There was interiors that they shot. You know, it had a bunch of screens and stuff on the inside. Obviously, you don't see that here because of the mechanics of the door or the canopy. That gray dash that I painted, which is looking brighter on screen. It is actually a lot darker than that. That should be along the side panels as well, almost like armrest padding sort of thing, and that's not there. There are a bunch of little touch screens in the movie that we don't see in here. So, you know, no two tumblers are alike. This is different from the Hot Toys, and I'm sure it's different from the Soap Studios one. There's a 1/8 scale model kit by a company called Hachette. And that I'm sure has a different one. I was looking at that for some reference photos of the interior, and what I saw was different than this. So, you know, it kind of is what it is when you're dealing with multiple brands. And, you know, like I said, there are different iterations of the vehicle. I think they made 5 or 6 for the movie itself. And it definitely does what I want it to do. So I'm very happy with it. I do want to take a closer look at the Batman figure here because we haven't really looked at that too much. This is the Mafex one, and I repainted the face on it. Aside from messing with the cape, repainting the face is all I've done so far. I do have the Soap Studios one, and I want to try to make like swappable mouth plates if I can using those. But here's a closer look. It's a little blown out by the light. There is a lot of detailing that I painted in the mouth area, but yeah, this is just, you know, it's the best 1/12 scale Batman Begins figure. One of the only ones. I mean, it's this and the Soap Studio one pretty much. So, yeah, I think Mafex did a really good job. They got that sort of like hunch, lean forward, sort of animalistic, you know, panther neck look. Yeah, I'm just pleased to have this one. All right, time for everyone's favorite size comparisons. Now, as you can see, I've got the back wheels of the Tumbler, the tires, and the back of the fenders on the 89 matched up. And you can see there's quite a bit of difference in size. And I'll put it in front of a ruler in a moment here, but the 89 is, I believe, 22 inches long, and the Tumbler is about 14.5 if you include the afterburner. You know, another thing I forgot to mention about this is that there's not a ton of wheel clearance on the front for those tires when you're pivoting them. So that is one kind of little knock against this thing, but not a big deal for me at least. The ruler is at the end of the afterburner there, and then at the front of the tires on the front there. So yeah, 14.5 inches or so, a little longer than that. And yeah, I don't have the actual measurements of the real Tumbler to compare it to, but this should be 1/12 scale. Here it is next to the Mattel. I think this was a DC Multiverse release from Mattel, the Batman 66 Batmobile. This one does run a little small as well. I think this is very much a true 1/12 scale. And then here it is with a 7-inch figure, because I wanted to show you. I don't have the McFarlane Dark Knight figure, but I do have this NECA Batman Begins figure. And you can see, obviously, this is just way too big for it. And then here it is with the Begins figure next to it from Mafex. So you can see, you know, there's a good inch difference between them, as there should be. Just to give you an idea of how a 7-inch figure would scale next to this Tumbler. Because I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to know if this would work with their McFarlane figures. And for some more size comparisons with figures, here it is with my custom BVS Mezco Batfleck. This is basically the same height as the Mezco version. It is the Mezco body. I just repainted the suit and put a different head on it. But yeah, you can see just how it scales next to it. And this guy's a little beefy for it, and he's a little too tall because Mezco figures are much more in the like 6.5 inch realm, whereas Mafex is like a true 6 inch, and that's what this tumbler is made for. And for a bit of a shorter Mezco figure, I believe this guy's a little bit shorter. Here he is with the Mezco 89 Batman. And this one is like the closest, I guess, size-wise. I think this is like what you could pair it with Mezco-wise. I think he would be too tall to fit inside just in terms of the ears and stuff. Although this one, because it has that rubber body, might be more flexible, so you might be able to like have him slouch down a little bit lower. And then here he is with my custom McFarlane Forever Batman. This one is basically the same size as the stock release. I shortened it a little bit by swapping out the ankle pegs to try to make it in scale with my Mezco figures a little bit more, and also just to give him better body proportions because his legs were too long. And then I, of course, molded some clay on the neck. But yeah, just another 7-inch Batman figure to show you what this would look like next to one. And then here is the goofy little Soap Studios Batman Begins figure. The only other 1/12 scale Begins figure. Yeah, this figure's not great, but it was made for a tumbler. I wanted to show it because I don't have the Soap Studios one, but I think the tumbler from them is about the same size as this one. I do want to swap out those mouth plates. I think that would be cool to have swappable mouth plates. So stay tuned. That's what I'm going to try on the channel. And here's one last look at the figure and the tumbler together. I'm very glad that I got this. And if you're looking for a fun project that, you know, gives you a little more sense of ownership because you had a hand in putting it together rather than just buying it and putting it on the shelf, which is fine too, obviously. But yeah, this is a good one to do. And I'm telling you, the engineering of this thing is pretty impressive. Like, I don't know if they have some kind of software that can splice up like a finished design, or if somebody actually has to go in and painstakingly figure out how to turn it into a puzzle, but I am just way impressed with this thing. So that's going to do it for this one. I want to thank you all so much for watching as usual. Go ahead and click that like button, hit subscribe if you're into this kind of stuff, and you can check out all the other vehicle videos and custom figures and all kinds of, you know, reviews, everything I put up on the channel. I hope everyone had a great holiday season. We're getting into the new year, January 2025 as of this posting. I hope everyone has a great year, and stay tuned for a lot more stuff to come on the channel. And speaking of staying tuned, if you would hang out for the next minute or so to watch the closing bumper I have that talks about my graphic novels that I have available, I greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much, everybody. So that is going to do it for this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I invite you to click the like button and hit subscribe and join me as I make cool stuff. Custom figures, dioramas, vehicles to go with the figures. I review new stuff that I get on the channel. If you're looking for other ways to support this, I've got t-shirts available. My Head on Swivel shirt, as well as several other action figure and comic book themed shirts, are available in my Redbubble shop. If you've never used Redbubble, it's pretty great. You pick the color shirt, the style, and the design you want, and they ship it right to you. Now, if you're not a t-shirt person, but you like comics, I've got several comics and graphic novels available, namely my books High Crimes, Count, and Retroactive. High Crimes is kind of Breaking Bad meets Cliffhanger. Retroactive is like James Bond meets Groundhog Day, and Count is my sci-fi reimagining of the Count of Monte Cristo. Think kind of a, John Wick meets Batman meets Zorro. It's a cool story with swashbuckling action and sword fights and vehicle chases, and it's about redemption, revenge, and revolution. So those are all available at your local comic shop, bookstore, or at the links in the description below. So to everyone who's picked up a shirt already or one of my books, thank you so much. It means the absolute world to me. I really appreciate it. It really helps make it so that I can do this kind of stuff and bring you more videos. Couldn't ask for anything more, so thank you. So that is going to do it for this one. Until next time, keep your head on swivel.